Gonna call the meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to start the meeting asking for a nomination of the chairperson.
Nominate Christie. I'll second that.
I have a nomination and a second. Do I have any discussion? Is there any discussion?
Question, I mean, I'm just curious, I know, can you nominate more than one, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
doesn't usually happen, but you can.
Any other discussions? So I have a motion and a second for Christy Britnell to be the chairman I'm sorry, all in favor of Christy Britnell as chairperson, signify by saying A. All opposed, same sign. And I'll turn the meeting over to Christy.
Don't you finish the nominations?
I think she does.
Yes, I think you finished the nominations for the rest of
Even
the.
the VP,
Vice chair.
okay. And how about, do I have a nomination for the vice chair?
The nominator, Roberta.
I have a nomination. Do I have any other nominations? for vice
No,
chair?
first you have to ask for a second.
Or no other
No, okay,
nominations?
excuse me.
No, okay, I don't know, it's 2 times I'm supposed to ask for any other nominations for vice chair.
I
Okay,
would nominate Amy.
Amy? So I have a nomination for Ernie and a nomination for Amy. Now we need to
No, I don't know
discussion,
what to do.
yeah, discussion.
Well, I guess the only thing I would say is I feel precedence was set last year with Karen. You know, we didn't just follow the vice chair. She wanted to serve as chairman the last year of her commission. And I feel like precedence was kind of set there. We honored that. I know Ernie would like to serve as chairman next year because that's the last term of his commission. His final one, so I guess to me. This is my 5th year. Ernie has not been chairman since I've been on. And then we kind of upset the apple cart last year, I would say, I shouldn't say upset the apple cart, but we did. Allow that with Karen because she wanted to be chairman her last year. That's the only thing I feel like if we did it for Karen, we should be doing it for Ernie. I guess that's just my feeling.
And I think Karen was very clear that she wasn't running again, so that was also what that she declared that, so I don't know if Ernie's declaring that.
Yep, I'm not running again, this is it.
So, the only thing I wanna say is I'm good with that, I think I'm okay with, proceeding, or we can vote or whatever, but I'm okay with proceeding with that. The only thing I do wanna say is I just really appreciated how Karen ran meetings, I felt they were professional, they were prompt, we discussed what we needed to, but it wasn't drawn out, so that would be the only thing I asked from both chair and vice chair going forward.
And I wasn't aware of that history either.
Right, it was kind of unprecedented last year when it happened, but we did recognize the fact that she wanted to serve, so. So we allow that, so that's why it's hard for me to say no, we're not going to allow that with Ernie. And I did have Christy look back, because I thought, for the 4 years I was on, Ernie was never chairman.
Is that-
Karen was actually chairman twice.
Lawrence was the last, okay, I've been here 6, Lawrence was the last one then, and I was before him, so it's almost 8
Yeah,
years.
2019 since we were chairman.
Two terms in a row, I think.
Is that how it works? Is typically the vice chair would become the next chair?
Yeah, usually.
And Karen was supposed to be up. And she wasn't chair when she was supposed to be that year, that's why
As a business.
we pushed for it last year, so she had an opportunity to chair.
Okay.
So I think that's
Kind of what happened, yeah, so to me, it's like, how do we say no to Ernie now when we did do it for Karen? Yeah, 2019 was the last time you were chair, it looks like, Ernie.
That's 5 years.
Five. So anyways, not in the 4 years since I've been here, I guess, because I thought, oh, I don't remember Ernie running a meeting when I was here. So just a little food for thought, I guess, a little
So
history.
I'm okay to, if you wanna, yeah,
You're gonna.
yeah, I'm good with that.
Do we have, so I have a nomination. Do I have a second then for Ernie to be the vice chair?
I'll second.
So I have a nomination and a second for Ernie to be the vice chair. Is there any other discussion? All in favor of Ernie Barda as your vice chairperson signify by saying A.
Hey,
All opposed, same side. I'm gonna turn the meeting over to Christie now.
Is it 80 or 5?
I don't know.
I've heard it both ways.
Yeah.
flew your hair, it was yes, it wasn't air.
Are we switching?
You can
Yeah.
talk to me, whatever.
Okay, I could have waited.
You
but-
get the hammer up there.
Yeah.
Right.
Nobody wants the hot seat.
No.
We got padding for that hammer?
Do you think I'm going to need it?
I might want this.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't want to be.
Coffee? Okay, thank you, Christy, for conducting that. I'd like to welcome everybody to the December 3rd, 2024 Walsh County Commissioner meeting, and I would like to welcome our newest commissioner, Paul Hudak. Congratulations and welcome to the board. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, well, we look forward to serving with you, so. Paul, if you have any questions during the meeting, just feel free to pipe up and ask them.
I sure will, thank you.
Okay. Okay, just a reminder to everyone that our meeting is live on YouTube, so just please indicate if you'd like to speak. The other item I'd like to mention as chair is I would like to see no phones used in the commissioner room while we are conducting our meeting. So with that, let's start with additions to the agenda. Danny?
Yeah, I'd like to give an update on the Soils Conservation District.
Amy?
Yeah, I have an update on the extension office.
On extension?
Yes.
Christie?
I do, I'd like to visit about year-end health for the auditor's office.
Myself, none, Ernie?
A reappointment for the water board. Update.
And Paul?
Nothing. You can.
Okay, the November 19th, 2024 minutes and bills were presented to everyone previously. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Consent agenda. So moved. Second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the roll. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. Hearing none, motion passed. Okay. 9:10, we're a little past employee time. Were either of you here for employee time? Okay, all right, Jason, then we can begin with you.
Good morning.
Jason.
A few things for you this morning. The first one that came across in your packet is, make sure this is up, snowblower bids. We found a error in our funding lines. So the one I told you I could take the money from for the snowblower, we don't have. We're actually in the negative on it. We had a problem with where the numbers rolled over from last year to this year. So we got that fixed with the help of Christy and Tammy, and we found and got those straightened out. But we would have the money available through the Legacy Highway Distribution Funds to purchase that. There's $300,000 or over $300,000 there. We had two bids for snow blowers. The one was $14,750 and the other one, was 15,000. So Park River Implements came in on the lower and like I said, for a motion to allow us to purchase the snow blower so we can put on the tractor and have that in the meeting.
Ernie?
I guess I'm not familiar with John Deere, that MK is that a pretty reliable one too then, or
Yeah, they're both reliable units.
Farm King then also?
The Farm King is the one we have on hand right now, would be an identical unit to the snow blower we have.
At least they have the same parts and everything there too.
Jason, what year is the Farm King?
I think it's brand new. I don't know if I see a year on it. It's a new machine, so it's probably gonna be a 2024.
Or it could be a carryover.
It could be a carryover 23, yeah, but it's never been used. It's a new price.
That 108 inch is gonna take a lot of horsepower.
Our tractors have the horsepower to handle them.
I mean, like 160, 170 inches.
I don't think our tractors are that big, but we had the same snow blower on the same size tractor that we ran last year.
Then on 96 inch, you can get about $4,000 cheaper. And that's what I've got, it's on 160 horse and I can bog it down. But I think it's a question whether you need that big.
It helps. I mean, bigger is always better when it comes to clearing snow. So, it'd be identical units what we have. So with the tractors that we have.
With a tall chute.
Yeah, I think it's just got a regular chute. I'm not sure if it's at the high or not. Stuart did bid up for me. I
have a question on, this is replacing one that you have now?
This would be an existing, a new additional. Right now, we have one snow blower based in Park River, and we have the Oshkosh snow blower based here in Grafton. So this would give us a third snow blower that we base out of Lincoln in the shop there on the tractor. We have the tractors that we get through a lease program through John Deere and True North Equipment. So we have 400 hours on those tractors we use for maintaining, pulling the shoulders in the spring and then ditch mowing. And then we use them for doing tree cleanup as well. So this would just give us one more unit that's out there. In the past, we've had some farmers that have helped us out to help keep the roads open as well, but this would give us something to help keep the bridges open around the bridges and things along that lines.
This is front or rear one?
Rear,
Rear.
we leave the motors on it, so if we have an issue with a hard pack, they can break it up with the motor, and we don't have to worry as much about breaking a chute in. So if it's a hard pack, and then they can get themselves out of the way if they have some breaking issues too. If they get stuck or something.
What account did you say you were going to take this out of since you didn't? have
Legacy
money?
Highway Distribution Fund.
And this purchase is allowable
Yes.
out of that
We can
account?
you can use the Legacy Highway Distribution Fund and Highway Distribution Fund for purchasing equipment.
Okay, because I did have some concerns when I saw your account that you said you were going to take it from, it did not have 56,000 in it, it was 56,000 in the hole.
Yeah.
So was it something that was coded wrong, or how did that happen?
Carryover came up, so when we had, when we changed over from last year to this year, the rollover number didn't match. So we have to watch that better. It's never been an issue before, but we had that problem with two different accounts this year we found. So
Okay, because I've noticed on other accounts, there's a negative as well, and then there's a big surplus, so I'd like you to really look at your accounts closely and get that straightened out.
Yeah, we'll be watching that harder at the beginning of the year when we do our rotation breakers.
Paul?
One more question is, this legacy fund that you're taking out of, where does that money come from?
The state.
Okay, any other questions? Do I have a motion to allow Jason to purchase the snow blower, and which one, if so,
So move.
which one, Denny?
Which number?
Which snow blower, which
The
estimate?
Park River Implement, cheapest one.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, there's no other discussion, I'll take the vote, Paul,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Danny,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion passed.
Thank you. Next item I have on the agenda is we got bids in for replacing the bridge cap on the bridge that's just west of Nash on County Road 9, and the one that's just south of Fairdale on County Road 22, also on Drain 200. The bridge cap to replace it underneath, number 9 is, the bid we got is $186,900. We only had one bid to do the project. When we do this project, that top bridge will come up to 32 tons. It will be not posted, but it'll be a 32-ton bridge, considering from right now we're at 5, so it'll open everything back up and allow us to move commerce and equipment and everything through that again without having any issues. Will we have to do something else to it in the future? Most likely, but at least for now, it'll give us a bridge that we won't have to worry about for a while. We have the bridge cap on hand. We had ordered that finally came in a couple of weeks ago. So just wanted to see if you all agreed on moving forward with that bid. The other part of it is the Fairdale Bridge. If we do that one for $170,000, we're still stuck with the 22-ton bridge. We're not getting any changes out of it. The next time it comes up for inspection, it's probably gonna get dropped.
Yeah.
But from talking to the water board today, we all agree that it would be money spent not making that repair right now and trying to see if we can just replace that bridge with culverts. And make the bridge go away, so we no longer have to do inspections on it, and we don't have to worry about it for a long time. We can just make that go to a culvert instead. So. With your guys' authorizations, I'd rather not move forward with that project at this time for that bridge.
Ernie?
I was down there when we were talking about it, and I guess we look back at the bridge inspections, and hopefully we'll get 2 years out of it. And then for sure, they'll probably drop it in their inspections, because you know what those are like. So that will give us the life of 2 years, and then we'll do the culverts on it. So that was the general concession, is just hold on to it.
And we think we can actually, but after Ernie left, they thought that they could actually move it forward for this year, where we have the money to replace that bridge and get it back to asphalt. If we move forward with it this year as a removal.
Which
Contract.
bridge are you referring to?
The Fairdale.
Their Fairdale one.
Up 200.
Yeah, the County 9 ones are for sure, but that Fairdale one was the question.
Yeah.
Danny?
Explain to me what a bridge cap is.
So you have your bridge deck and then you have the pilings. The timber cap or the bridge cap is what sits on those pilings that your girders sit on across it. So what happens is those are crushing across the county. Some places where the county was rebuilding the bridges, we only used 2x12s. We didn't use a full 12x12. The Fairdale one is actually a 14x14 inch bridge cap.
Timber?
And the only reason that we can figure that one didn't get dropped is because that one actually sits on a steel channel. Or it sits on top of that. So it has support from that steel channel underneath the 14x14 timber cap that in a couple of spots on it is crushed to more like a 12x12.
Can't we be using concrete instead of timber?
Well, some of the newer bridges we do. This is a 50-year-old bridge.
So you gotta take the whole,
Take
deck
the whole
off.
deck off to do it. But the problem is with this one is if we, the ones off Fairdale, if we take the bridge deck off, we still have issues with the girders that are underneath the main bridge. Those are actually reducing factors that keep it a 22-ton bridge. So if we do the repairs, we're still at a 22-ton bridge. So it's just wasted $170,000 in my opinion, when we could use that same $170,000 to just make it go away.
why aren't we doing the same thing at Nash?
It's gonna take a lot bigger culverts. That's a full flow of a river. We looked at it, but in the future, we'll probably have to look at removing it. We were looking at the next thing too is the sizings that is gonna come through there is gonna be a lot bigger than a culvert. It'll have to be a huge box culvert. We're gonna be looking at probably the same type of deal that we did on number 9 and drain 48, where we're closer to a $750,000 bridge at that point. But it was something that we'll have to start looking at with the flex funds and bridge programs to make sure that we can keep that bridge up. So we'll start putting it onto our list of projects for future renovations. But we should be able to get at least 10 years out of it.
Amy?
So from a perspective between these two with just travel, and use and, I mean, what would you say percentage wise, when you're talking about the one west of Nash versus the Fairdale?
The one west of Nash right now is one that's reducing everything. You can't run regular semis across it, you can't do anything, you can still run semis, you can still run the traffic across the Fairdale Bridge. So that one's really not hurting us, you can't run full loads across it, but there's other routes around. This one at Nash for that on number 9. To make the routes around, you can, we got other bridges around, there's gravel around it, but number 9 and number 22 are both artery roads. We need to make sure that we're doing stuff to keep them up in the future.
And 5 tons.
5 tons, nothing. Some people's expeditions are
Right.
more than, so.
Ernie,
When we were talking about the Fairdale one, and the reason we can do it there, they figured they got enough room in the opening. So we could go to like, say, 2 7-foot culverts, and then you're gonna have so much footage in between them. So they'll fit in that opening, where like on Nash, that's where you're gonna be stuck to a box culvert and anything else. It's sometimes the size of the opening and the water coming through that restricts us. So that's why when we were talking this morning on this one, we just said, wait, and hopefully the 2 culverts and that 4 or 5 feet in between them will do what we have to do. So, plus it'll take a bridge off our list too, so.
and isn't that our goal?
Yeah.
Basically, go to culverts anywhere we can to get
Yeah.
these bridges removed.
As many bridges as we can to get to culverts, we're going to do inspections, because right now, 207 bridges under inspections. We're looking at, you know, this last year, just $125,000 in bridge inspections that we're gonna be paying out, and that's just our 20% cost share. So we need to reduce that number, because right before we ever get started in the year, we're down $125,000 in engineering fees. And we can't just keep doing it, there's no way for us to advance as a county and keep having those overhead costs that are like that for $125,000.
Paul,
When you replace that Fairdale Bridge with the culvert, are you gonna be able to do that for the 170?
It'll be probably a little bit more than that. We do have a cost share though with the water board of 60-40. 60% water board, 40% for the county. The last one we did was about 180,000, but it wasn't underneath an asphalt road. So that was underneath the gravel. So we're probably gonna be in that 2.25 range
Okay.
without getting the engineering done on it. We did some initial calculations and we think we can get away with 6 or 7 foot culverts. The water board is gonna have Houston Engineering take a look at their files to see if they already have the flows through it. So I'm gonna have to start over with that portions of engineering as well. We'll use those calculations and go moving forward. So we'll still see if we can't get that project done yet this summer, if we can. So we'll work on to get that taken care of.
okay, so were you looking for a motion?
Yes, look for a motion for us to replace or do the repairs on Bridge 50-135-05 for $186,900. This is the number 9 bridge west of Nash.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Move to, fix the bridge on Western Nash.
Okay. For the 186.9,
Yeah.
okay. Do I have a second?
I'll say.
Any further discussion?
I'm sure.
Oh. Go ahead.
From funding wise, I guess 2 questions. Funding wise, you have this. That's the plan. And then when you talk about the Fairdale and like thinking you're gonna be able to get by a few years, but then it's 10-year, you may have it on the flex fund plan. Will that be kind of like, so it's a proactive approach, you know, going forward that you'll know that's one you're gonna move?
Well, the whole reason that we did the Fairdale one even came up wasn't because of the bridge inspections, it's because I was looking at bridges to see what we had out there that are on our criterias. This was a yellow bridge out in the western part of the county, tells you it's creeping in there on a hazard bridge. So I wanted to see why it was, and when I went in and started digging into it, I saw the crushed gap. And then we found out from getting the bridge reports from the state to Wade, when they ran calculations, that the girders are actually a restricting problem. But yeah, that'll be the plan.
Kenny,
So this 186,000 will buy us how many years before we have to?
Hopefully 10, maybe or more. And so, it'll depend on the inspections, but this should give us a bridge back, as long as when we take it apart, we don't break anything. It's always a risk on this type of a project, when you're lifting the entire bridge up to replace the caps. You could break something else.
It seems like a lot of money for,
I'm surprised both Wade and I with the prices we got, he's the only company that.
yeah. You know, I can see the traffic flow being great up there compared to, you don't have a viable elevator anymore, they don't, most of that grade goes to the west. Yeah, it's like.
I guess my thing is isn't so much the traffic at Fairdale, it's the fact that. We spend the money, we don't gain anything. If we were spending that $170,000 and we were gonna get a bridge that wasn't rated anymore, or you get up to 30 ton. Then it's worth the investment, but if we're spending $130,000 to sit where we're at, or $170,000 to sit where we're at, it doesn't make sense. It's not a logical way to spend that kind of money to sit where we are.
Any further discussion? Okay, I will take the vote. Paul,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes.
Danny,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion passed.
Then the next thing I have is. In the packet is a bunch of stuff for bridge inspections.
No,
$5,550.87 for the inspections that they have performed.
Our favorite topic.
Yeah, everyone's favorite topic.
Okay. I guess we need a motion on this as well, correct?
I will make a motion to approve the bridge inspection.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Ernie, you can't say now, you have to pay that.
I can.
I know.
Okay, I will take the vote. Amy,
Yes.
Danny,
Yes.
Ernie,
yes,
Paul,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion passed.
I usually vote no.
He does.
Okay, so. You guys, you're probably gonna have to show me where to sign that first on sign. It's right here. Mayor, President, I just signed here.
Yeah, and the next year they come back.
Sign there.
And the next year, like, it's like, give us an answer out of it.
Usually the director of the meeting, I guess I never really know.
What was that amount you said, Jason, on we spent on bridge inspection so far?
$125,000.
That include this 5,000?
What do we spend annually?
This contract is for $162,835. That's what we'll spend this year.
The state used to do it, we didn't hardly have to pay anything,
We didn't have to get anything.
Yeah.
and now we just that every year looking at it.
Now, it gets worse with the scour portions of it too, because now when we have. The state was out of complete federal government, so every time we have a flood. There are 18 bridges we have to go and inspect on, and then within, 8 of them are on a daily basis, and then after the flooding is over. We have to pay these same people to come out and inspect that bridge. We have 3 flooding events, and they're spaced more than a month apart. We'll have to pay them 3 times that year to come and inspect this bridge. So you're looking at a minimum of $1,000 per time, most likely. So it's a $3,000 bill on our portion, and that's the 20% that the state doesn't cover. So the state's paying on top of that.
Chair,
Yes,
could you give me a little history of when this all started?
Yeah, but this is
3 years, 4
4 years ago.
4 years ago?
Or before that, when Sharon's was still here, the state went away from having. Federal mandates having their own inspectors. They just don't have the number of inspectors to do it, and they went from doing other inspections in the winter to doing them in the summer. So when they made those changes, they couldn't do them all across the state in the timeframe they originally had across the state. By far, the majority of the bridges are in the eastern part of the state. There's some counties that have said, in Walsh County, we have one spot where we have 7 inspected bridges in 10 square miles. So that becomes an issue for us. And we just can't keep doing those things. So will go out and there's one inspection company that does 4 quarters, so they split the state into 4 different a quarter section. And the one that's coming here is based out of Chicago and Minneapolis. And they come through to do the inspections for Pembina, Walsh, Grand Forks. And they do Cavalier County as well, and then that's it, because they have all those inspections. With these new portions that they have for what they call the scour ratings, Grand Forks County has 54 bridges that'll fall underneath that. I haven't talked to Nick to see how many are a class A to a class B, and the class A's require a daily inspection to make sure that there's nothing going wrong with that bridge during the flood. So during flood times, we'll have to do it, we have to log into their computer program to sign on it. Right now, I'm in the process of creating programs for it to tell us, so that they know that we've looked at it and we've created detour routes for people to get around that. And then we have to put notifications in, they go to everybody, and I have to have most of them done before Christmas. We have 54 of them to do. They tell me that the class C's are easy. I'll believe it when I see it. Basically, it's taking the same information and putting it into the forms, but it's cutting and pasting for every single one of them for doing that portion. With the state doing it, they pick who their inspectors are, what company they are through RFP process. We don't have any say in who gets it. They pick them, they send us the bill, and we have an option to get out of it. If we do decide to move out of it, then we have to pay the full 100% of the bridge inspections. It's not going to be cheaper, because this is right now, we only pay 20% of it, and 207 of our bridges have to be inspected. Some of them on a yearly basis, some of them on a 2-year basis, and our concrete box culverts or aluminum box culverts, they're on a 4-year basis. So it changes all the time as to what's being inspected. A lot of our pony truss bridges were built in the 1918, 1920s. We can't weld on them. We can't do add bracing to them. We can't do much to those bridges, because as soon as we do that, we actually weaken them. So as soon as we see one of those bridges on the list, we just kind of move past it and try and figure out how we can replace it or get rid of it. We've tried to put a couple of them on a historic preservation list, but we haven't had support from the people around to actually keep those bridges open through state funding to help bring it up so you can use them. So two of those are actually closed bridges right now that we've got getting brought back, because the locals around them don't want the bridges to be there basically. So the bridges are still there, because we haven't found the funding to remove those. They're not a hazard for us at the moment, and we have other bridges we have to repair. So
So the DOT was contracting these out, they're taking care of all, and they bill us for 20%.
yeah, and they won't work it out where they have 4 contracts, they don't want to have one for each county. So we don't get the portion where we can just go and select one and then come back to them. So.
And unfortunately, we have not been happy with the service that's been provided to us. And they tell us, that's fine, go ahead and hire your own firm then, your own engineering firm, but you pay 100% of it.
Yeah.
Well, that's not an option. We can't pay 100%. So we really don't have an option. We're stuck. We are stuck with the company that they hire, and
They'll do the inspections, they send us a maintenance report, the maintenance report doesn't match the inspection report, so I actually read every inspection report and then coming up with a list of everything that needs to be done for every bridge. And creating those things, and in the next, when I get done with these, they call them POAs for these scour bridges, then I'll finish that up and work with Ryan on figuring out what ones we're gonna try and tackle, and we're trying to do repairs on what we can, and working with Wade and KLJ to replace or repair a couple of the year. We had a couple go down this last year, or in the last couple of years, where we've been able to remove the entire deck, put down new steel, rebuild everything, and get the bridge back to capacity.
okay.
And before we replace these bridges, we have to do a cultural study, spawning.
Yeah,
A spawning deal, a nesting deal, we found a path on the one bridge that got us held up last year. It's mind boggling, all the regulations that we have to go through to replace that stuff. And it all adds up to the cost.
and trees have to be removed before the bats come back. So if you have a bridge project coming, you have to move those trees in March. Otherwise, the project is delayed.
Pretty,
We used to get these inspections and everything, maybe in a year and a half, and we'd have it. Now what do we wait? 2 to 3, 4 years for some of them to get the bidding from the state and everything else, so it's just all that paperwork just backs it up. And you know what happens 2 years later? It's more expensive and. Oh, yeah, it's become a mess.
thank you, Jason, for that history. Okay, we can move on.
Okay, the last thing I have is, at Open Gov, to give you a Zoom, hopefully that Zoom meeting came across to all your laptops to give, an update and have, show you guys a demonstration on the program that we're, looking at purchasing, or that I'd like to purchase. I asked staff to come, they prefer not to come and speak in front of you guys, they don't feel comfortable doing it. So I'll just let you know that I know where they're coming from. They're apprehensive of a new program with Tandy, which is understandable. Everybody should be apprehensive with the new program, especially with the fun we've had over the last few years with changing programs in the county. But the other thing is they understand, like Ryan understands that the program would be good for us. It would help us out with FEMA, it would help us out with doing scheduling and doing different things. But at the same time, we need equipment. It's one of those things. So it's money that we can spend in other places, but it has its usages for it. And that's kind of where we're at from that aspect of it. One of the other things is the only equipment that we actually replace on a schedule is our motor grader. So we have a need for trucks, we have a need for payloader updates, we have a need for skid steer update, we have a need for pickup updates. But the only thing that's actually on the schedule right now are our motor graders. And I'm trying to figure out ways to get around that. But they're our most expensive piece of equipment as well. The trucks are falling and trying to climb up to be in that same realm. The last prices I got on trucks were over a year ago, or this last spring, and we're still looking at about $350,000 for a snowplow truck. With the rock box and nothing special. The wings and the different things, so $350,000 for that, $700,000 for motor graders, nothing's getting cheaper. The fuel pumps that we're getting replaced this year, Sharon had them on the list to be replaced 3 years ago, and we we're denied from that. The prices went up in that time to get those done. So the longer we push back these different things, just like the bridges and everything else we have, our asphalt, it just gets more expensive. But so my hope is that this program would allow us to do all that stuff. It allow us to do all our budgeting through it. We would have complete access through it to do all those things. We'd be able to track our equipment, come up with better plans, and also be able to use this program to come up with more plans for what roads we're gonna be doing when, tracking it out, our bridges, and doing all those type of things as well. So we can come up with something a little bit more, so we can see this is what we have, this is what we need, and get a better handle on our future budgeting. That, trying to get into this program on my laptop, and it's not wanting to go, so hopefully it works on the others.
Did you get that email?
I do, but I don't have Zoom on my computer, so
I should have.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, my gosh,
no.
It's not doing anything.
Not right.
mine's on, I see him.
Why not Zoom? They told me when I bought this thing.
So then go there, login.
Oh,
Did you have an
Link?
updated poll?
Yeah.
I don't have Zoom on mine, we've tried this on, I don't know my bad.
Recording in progress. There it is.
oh,
A link. So.
See that?
You're gonna be on screen or something.
Hide the camera.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
The,
Recording in progress.
Yeah.
I think you wanna click on that.
We'll probably have to shut off a couple of the audios.
Yeah, I
Otherwise, we're gonna.
Hey, Jason, you all hear us okay?
We're just getting reverb from our end because of, so many speakers being on.
To just mute them?
Yeah,
I don't know how that is.
we'll have to mute ours and then we'll
Should be a
have
speaker
questions.
that's not
Load it up.
Usually it's just.
That's.
Click the on audio, you need to cross it over. On my, insurance ones, I just clicked on here and mute it.
Can you just?
Jason, you all hear us okay?
No, it's not.
We hear you, but when we talk. Okay.
I think we're getting some echo on our side.
Yeah, you might have to mute all of us. But we might have too many speakers getting everything up.
Do I mute that out?
Try the laptop. It's public meeting.
So that's what I asked.
New speaker on.
My God.
It's weird, you know, when everything else is off.
Think we look like we're good, sounds like we're good.
Yeah, I think we're okay now, Elliot. If you can hear us.
Oh, but we can't hear him.
There he is. Can you turn that up?
It's, I'm not hooked up to it.
Should I turn mine up? If just one of ours turns up, we'll,
We lost all our volume for you now, Elliot, we can't hear you.
We can hear him breathe, like listen.
okay, try now.
Okay, can you all hear me now?
There you go.
Real good.
We're good. Yep, we can hear you.
Sounds good. Well, thank you all for allowing us some time here this morning. I will just kick it off with some quick introductions here from the OpenGov team. So my name is Elliot Pipkin, the account executive here at OpenGov, and I work here with what we call our Great Lakes region. So supporting our customers here in North Dakota, South Dakota, and a little bit more of the kind of upper Midwest here, as you call it. I am based out of Chicago, Illinois here though. So excited for today's conversation, a couple minutes here. That's a little bit about me. I'll kick things over to Jamie here, my colleague, and then we will get started.
Solutions engineer here on the Cartograph Asset Management team here at OpenGov. My background is GIS. I've been working with Cartograph Asset Management for almost 7 years now. And I'm coming to you from Minneapolis, so just in the neighboring state. So anyway, I'm looking forward to showing you a real quick overview of our software today. And with that, Elliot, I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. We will kind of get started, dive right in here with the time that we have remaining. Have a chance to kind of listen to some of the prior conversations, hear some of the concerns, understand that we want to see a little bit of the software, understand what it can do and how it can benefit the county. So I will kind of move us along here. Now, this is a recap of the conversations that Jason and I have been having since June now. So I've been kind of working on this project for about half a year. A lot of information here on the screen. I won't go line by line, but just want to recap some of the important points that we've kind of discovered, some of the pain that the team is experiencing today. So The lack of an asset management system really doesn't promote efficiency or allow us to think day ahead on maintenance schedules. I know Jason just kind of talked about that. There's a desire to implement an asset and work order management system, really to drive efficiency in daily operations, improve some data tracking, and ultimately maximize the lifespan of each asset there in the county. Now, current state, right, some of the challenges that the team is facing today, there's some failing culverts due to the lack of inspections for about the past 13 years. Struggling to prioritize some of the work can lead to about 2 to 3 hours, doing multiple tasks that are in the same area. We just don't have that visibility today. We're driving to and from the office a lot. Takes the administrative assistant about 3 months to put together that annual report. It take minutes to kind of put together an OpenGov system. We'll show you here that in a second. And then we're currently paying an accounting firm about $1,400 to set up the Access database, kind of that current system, to compile reports, track vendors, and track payments. So just a few of the key points, the key issues that we've discussed here. Now turning our attention to future state, right? What do we want this system to do? What are some of those kind of features and functionalities? First and foremost has to be simplistic and user-friendly, right? We want to make sure that this is something that, 2, 3 years from now, we don't look back and say, hey, this is just sitting on the shelf collecting dust, right? Talk about the cloud-based, right? So doesn't force you all or have you all have any data or hardware stored at the county, right? Everything is in the cloud. So you won't have to have anything on premises. You won't have to have any dedicated GIS or IT staff there maintaining the system. A couple other things we talked about is unlimited user licenses, right? You have the ability for anyone within the county to use the system. You're not capped at 2, 3, 5 people. You can add or deactivate those licenses at any time, right? So if we get any seasonal staff in the summer or winter months, they can have a license, use the software, track all their work, and complete all those tasks that Jason has them doing. And then some fleet maintenance and inspection tracking, some inventory management. The list kind of goes on and on here. So I won't spend too much more time here. Just wanted to recap the current state, right, and the future state of the project here, what's at hand. Jason has his presentation, so he can share this with you afterwards. I'll keep us moving though here. Looking at OpenGov, right, who's OpenGov? Modern partner for government. First and foremost, very mission driven, right? The mission is to power more effective and accountable government, which allows us to be very customer centric. Now, what I mean by that is if you did decide to move forward with OpenGov, you'd be assigned a customer success manager at the beginning of your journey. We'd be there with you all throughout your whole journey here at OpenGov. So that's that assigned person to answer any questions, get you additional help, loop in any internal resources, and really just be that go-to person for you. So when we talk about utilizing software, utilizing cloud-based software, it's something new, right? We're going from the current process to utilizing, a software system. You have that dedicated resource there at you at all times to answer any questions, to get any help that you all need. Getting us over to results oriented. Big thing I like to hammer home here is that 80% less time in reporting. We know how long that can take. We just talked, hey, it's taken us 3 months to compile that annual report. I'm sure that you all care about a lot of data and want to know what's going on within the county. So we want to streamline that process a little bit so that we can have those reports, but then do something with those, right? Start to make those data-driven decisions. And then finally, on the far right here, trusted by over 1,900 governments, just some of the current partners, customers we have within the area. I can see West Fargo and Morgan County, North Dakota customers looking to continue to expand our footprint there. I have shared a couple references from some of these organizations here with Jason. So if there's any questions or if you want to talk straight to the source, right, the people that are utilizing the system every day, I'm more than happy to reach out. Looking at the OpenGov cloud though, right, this is OpenGov as a whole, all of the ways OpenGov helps to modernize the way governments do operations. So everything from budgeting and planning software, end-to-end procurement software, financial software, tax and revenue, asset management, which is what we're talking about here today, and then permitting and licensing. Now you'll see on the bottom there, reporting and transparency. All of those suites kind of sit on top of that platform to enhance some of those features there. It is kind of an a la carte version here, right? So it's not an all-in-one. You don't have to go forward with everything. Today's conversation is based around asset management, but I'd like to show the ways that we can expand into other usage of the system. Did I hear a question?
No.
Moving on here. Want to dive a little bit into the cloud-based, though I know there was some concerns around, to maintain and upkeep the system. So once again, everything is stored in the cloud. It's all maintained by OpenGov, right? So all of the enhancements, all of the updates, all of the new features that we add into the software. And that's all done on the back end by us, right? We make those updates overnight. You wake up in the morning, come into the office, and everything is right there for you. It's backed by Amazon Web Services for all your security needs as well. A quick overview here of what we'll discuss with the asset management system. We break it down into about 4 pillars here just for simplicity. So you have your asset management, right? Knowing what assets you have, where they're at, what condition they're in. Now, it's my understanding that the county has a current GIS system. With the GIS, we have a bi-directional integration, right? So tying into that GIS, pulling that data in automatically, but layering on top of that the condition of those assets, right? So now we understand, hey, when do we need to make replacements on our assets, whether that's buildings, whether that's roads, culverts, or vehicles and equipment as well. Getting us down to the work order management, right? Jason can create those work orders, create those tasks from the office, from out in the field, or the field staff can create those themselves, right? We're driving around, we see a pothole that needs to be filled or a sign down, we can create that work, complete that, and then we have all that data and information to track. Continuing down to resource management, this is where we will associate all of our labor hours, our equipment, our materials that we're using, associate that to the work that we're doing, so we have a total cost of that specific task, but also associating that to the asset itself, right? So now we have a total cost of how much are we spending to date on our assets, right? Our bridges, our pavements, our signs, right? Our vehicles, how much have we put into those? Do we want to continue to repair those, or is it better to just go ahead and replace those as a whole? Leads us into that infrastructure planning, right? Really where those reporting and transparency features are enhanced, whether we're looking to put together budgets, whether we're trying to look ahead and say, hey, this is what we have coming in the future, let's start to plan for that. Or just taking a look at our assets, our work orders as a whole, right? We have all of that data and all that information at our fingertips. So this is the basis of what Jamie will kind of demonstrate here in a second. Lastly, team of experts, right? So when we talk about implementing the software, right? Who's going to set this up for us? Who's going to get all this up and running? Looking at the core and the extended project team, those are the 6 individuals that Jason and his team will work with during the implementation process, right? So to actually set up the software, configure it to your liking, right? Make sure that things are looking exactly how you'd like those. We set all of that up ourselves on the front end. All we ask from your team is to tell us exactly what you want that to look like, right? So the different drop-down menus, what options or categories do we want in those, right? How do we want the software to actually work for Walsh County specifically? So those are the individuals that you'll work with during implementation. And then after implementation, right, we're going live, we're up and running, Jason and the team are using the software, you have that dedicated customer success manager. I'm still here as the account executive to support, and then your open down technical support team. Now that's 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time. Everything here at OpenGov is done in-house from implementation to support, so you always have an OpenGov employee here to speak with. That is all from me for right now. Before I kick things over to Jamie and we actually get into the software, any questions from anyone?
I have a question. Can they hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear?
Okay, so
Yes,
when we're looking at this circle, what is required from our county? As far as you said, you have a customer success manager, county executive, support team, but the rest, it would be on Jason. As far as, or what the amount of people to implement this from our county?
Got it. I'm understanding your question. So we see that vary, right? We have customers all the way down from the city of Dyersville, Iowa, about less than 5,000 people up to the city of LA, right? And over 1 million people. So it really just depends on your agency specific. The one thing we do ask is that there is a project manager. Typically, we would see that as someone that is Jason, or if there was, maybe an administrative assistant as well who wanted to kind of be the project owner here. That's the person to really get everyone into the room, right? For training, get everyone to the exact sessions that they need, and make sure that people are where they need to be, right? So we've seen implementations from 5 people up to 100 people plus. Just depends on the bandwidth of the organization.
Okay, thank you. Are we ready to move on? Any other questions? Okay, we can move on.
So I will stop sharing my screen and turn things over to Jamie here.
Okay, thank you very much, Elliot. And yeah, we're looking at the, actually, I want to accomplish a few things at once here. What we're looking at, Elliot had mentioned, we have a mobile app as well. So what we're looking at here is really a kind of a browser-based view of our mobile app. So the mobile app for your field staff will form fit to the tablet, the phone, Android, Apple. So we're gonna try to accomplish a couple of things at once here. Also, up in the upper right-hand corner, I'm logged in as me. So every user in your organization will have a different set of roles, responsibilities. So really we can tailor the individual user experience. So if I just work in the sign shop, I might only see sign related data. Elliot might be that culvert inspector. He might only see culvert related data. So just keep in mind that we can really tailor that down to the individual user as well. From a reporting standpoint, we're starting here. I've got these two tabs. I'm in the dashboard tab. So I've just got a couple of examples of some reporting capabilities in the system. You may want to have maybe a cost breakdown by department. So really when we talk about costs in our solution, we're measuring labor costs, equipment costs, material costs, or really any other costs that we're doing just to get these jobs done on a daily basis. From a reporting standpoint, we had met with Jason last week. He had mentioned that sometimes it might take several months to come up with some type of a yearly report. Here's an example of an operational cost per breakdown, or excuse me, an operational cost per month breakdown last year in the streets department. So we can maybe see that we peaked here in the month of May. From a reporting standpoint, simply click into the month of May here. You can sort, filter. Maybe in this case, I'm going to sort by the most expensive work tasks. And it looked like we did a replacement of a major pavement segment for $150,000. So Elliot and I were just talking, these dashboards and these reports, they're dynamic. So this is run for last year. So literally at the strike of midnight on New Year's Eve, this will now reflect 2024 data. So real quickly and easily, you can have access to really any type of report in the system. I've got a couple of other examples here. How many linear feet of pavement segment have we done crack seals on in the current year? Or what is the total cost that we've spent just repairing vandalism? What is the average cost to patch a pothole? Here's one kind of a newer dashboard is our system now has the ability to take all of the planned work in your system, come up with estimated costs. So maybe in this case, we've estimated that, in order to get all this work planned in our system done, we're going to estimate nearly 500 labor hours. So maybe from a labor planning perspective, we've got the ability to kind of budget that, hey, we might need to think about, hiring a new staff member. So just, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds into this dashboard, but just really know that this is, these dashboards can really drive a lot of our reports. We're going to be collecting all this data, and this is just one way in which we can visualize that data.
Now, one more thing to note there, those dashboards, those reports, those can be automated to your inbox on a cadence basis, right? So weekly, monthly, yearly, if there's information you all would like to see, and maybe you don't want to continue to go and ask Jason, you all can either have access to the system, log in and see that data yourself on the dashboard, or we can automate those reports to your inbox on a weekly, monthly cadence, however you all would like that set up.
And that's yet another advantage of our enterprise license model. We could all get your own dashboards to just visualize these reports. Again, here I'm trying to show a couple of things at once. So again, from a field staff perspective, basically on the right hand side, we've got the ability to toggle on these different layers. So maybe here I've got a layer called service requests. Basically, these could be really any type of issues that the public is reporting to the city. There are potholes, there's a flooding in the road because there's storm debris clogging up a culvert. So really any type of service request, we can get a general idea of the location and a general idea of the issue. From there, then a typical workflow is then somebody's gonna go out and investigate the issue and then maybe create work to, you know, to rectify that issue. That work, then I'm gonna turn on this task layer. Again, based on my role in the organization, in this case, I could see where on the map we've done, well, in this case, I've got several layers here, so maybe anything red on the map or roads that we crack sealed last year, or anything orange on the map, and I can toggle these on and off. And anything orange is planned work for a specific department, in this case, the streets department, or completed work last quarter. So really always have the ability to query the system, to create these different map layers, to create these different reports. In this case, just to show you a quick map of maybe just work that we've done, you know, the last quarter. And then finally, even to break it down to a simplistic level, as a field worker, I've just got a layer here called My Tasks. So I've got to go do some graffiti cleanup, I've got to patch a pothole. Anywhere in the system, I can basically just kind of click highlight below and see where on the map that is. From an asset management perspective, I'm going to quickly toggle on some assets here. In this case, maybe Elliot had mentioned having the condition of our assets. So very, very generally, assets in our solution will degrade over time. You've got the ability to kind of determine how they degrade. But in this case, we're looking at a color-coded map of roads based on their condition. Just for demonstration purposes, I've got a very generic color coding, you know, bad, average, or you know, good. But this is one way in which a lot of our customers then can make this condition-based map and then come up with a plan of action to, it looks like in the kind of in this part of town, we've got some roads that we might need to do some treatments on. So just a real quick way in which we can just visualize, you know, in this case, roads based on their condition. Similarly too, again, I can toggle some of these layers on or off. But even speaking of, maybe we want to look at some storm culverts. Anywhere in the system, you can zoom in on the map. We can see some list of the storm culverts down below. And in this case, I'm just gonna click on this storm culvert. What this will do is zoom right to this asset. And then from here, right within the solution, we've got the entire work history of this asset. So it looks like we did we replaced it, we did an inspection. Speaking of inspections, here's the entire inspection history of this asset. So Elliot and Jason had mentioned, you know, hey, maybe this is one way in which we can now start to come with some type of a recurring inspection program for their storm culverts, because essentially every task in the system is time stamped. So now we can set up schedules. Hey, we're going to go out and make sure that we do storm culvert inspections every 2 years. The system can automatically generate work based on that cadence, automatically assign it to those inspectors. Just real quickly then too, even zooming in here, we can view this inspection. In this case too, we've got the ability to set up different condition categories where really this is just the criteria with which we're going to inspect this. Our customers have the ability to dictate what this is. So really this is where Jason and his team will meet with our implementation teams, really set up the solution to mirror your inspection criteria that you're currently doing for any assets. In this case, it happens to be a storm culvert, but it really could be any asset in the system. And just real quickly, I know we're kind of running out of time. Just one example here is maybe we want to, just on the fly, I want to create work against this storm culvert. In the bottom right-hand corner, this is where we can enter our, what we call just this create this task wizard. Maybe again, there was a storm, maybe there was a lot of debris that we need to remove from this. So we've got the ability to really anywhere in the system, you see a drop-down list like this, you'll be able to dictate what this is. So in this case, maybe we want to do some type of a debris removal activity. We could set a priority, we could set a due date. In this case, it's automatically assigned to me because I'm the worker, but maybe I could assign it to a crew or an individual. But just like that, we've created work on this asset. Now we can see on that task list, we've got this planned debris removal. From here, I could take a photo. A lot of our customers take before and after photos of the work that they've done, so just kind of have that justification of, or even sometimes for liability purposes, we can, verify that, hey, we've actually, completed the job. And then just a lot of things happen there. We've automatically pulled in the street, the GPS location. We can even route workers to this, in this case, this job task, just using the Google Maps application on their phone or what have you. But just to round this workflow out, once we've gone out, done this work, this is where we can start to say, I can add these different labor logs. So in this case, maybe Jamie went out there, spent 4 hours. That's gonna have a cost associated to that. Same thing with equipment. Maybe I've gone out there, I drove out there in this Ford F-150. Each of these laborers, even equipment, are all gonna have different rates. We even have a connection to the FEMA website. So as FEMA updates their rates, your FEMA rates within the system will stay up to date. The point here is all of these labor, equipment, materials are gonna have a cost. Any materials that we use, or any other costs, a lot of our customers, they will use this other section to maybe, record contractor costs. So we can maybe pull in a list of all of your different vendors. Maybe you've got a vendor, Craftco, and maybe they charge you $15,000, what have you. The point is, any labor, equipment, material costs, or any other costs can be associated to doing this work. That's then going to be reportable, when it comes time to report that. And then finally, once we're done here, we can just save and complete that work, verify that it's been done, and then in this case, just go on to the next task. So that's really the bread and butter of it. Again, we've got all types of ways in which we can automate workflows. We can automate those preventative maintenance schedules. We can create work in the field, assign it to workers. They'll get a notification on their mobile device that you now have a new job task assigned to you. So with that, I think I'll pause there. Elliot, Jason, did I miss anything that you both specifically wanted to show? Again, I just kind of wanted to get through that very quickly, just in the interest of time, but any questions or comments?
Yeah, I think one thing I'll add is just the ability to utilize the software within multiple departments. I know that, Jason is the one here, advocating for this. But we also talked about the sheriff's department, right? Being able to track their equipment, their materials, all of their vehicles. It's the same way with that condition, right? So they'll be able to see, hey, when do we need to make replacements on these vehicles, right? When are our oil changes coming up? When are our brake repairs coming up? And then from that, right, should we continue to repair these, or do we want to replace those vehicles as a whole? That Jason can start to create his list, have that proof, and actually have that data to say, hey, here's how much we've put into this vehicle here, right? Here's the condition of it, right? Here's why I'm asking for additional money to get a new vehicle here. So we start to get some more data and information to actually have that proof and submit those things.
Yeah, I forgot to show that. So just real quickly, just like I clicked on that storm culvert, in this case, I've clicked on this, it's a Ford F-150 vehicle. We've got all types of metrics regarding, maybe we want to have some type of a fuel log. We can then start to track the current miles per gallon and so on and so forth. Any inspections on this vehicle. And then too, as Elliot alluded to, we've got the ability to track the age of the vehicle, the usage, maintenance and repair costs. That can all tally up to what we call this vehicle replacement rating, or VRR for short. This is one way in which we can then compare this rating with maybe other vehicles in our fleet, come up with some type of a vehicle replacement plan based on these ratings. So really it's just a combination of all of these metrics that can give us this overall replacement rating, and then we might use that data to as Elliot mentioned, decide which vehicles we need to start thinking about replacing. And just like, I'm gonna scroll up here real quickly too, just like on that storm culvert, we can see that, hey, we've got an oil change planned, or we did a hose repair or a brake repair. Anytime we do work on any asset in the system, from a storm culvert to a vehicle, you've got that entire inspection history. And then even in this case, you're gonna see this is this oil change here is a projected status. That's an example of that preventative maintenance plan running in the background. What that does is we can say, hey, we wanna do an oil change every 6 months or 5,000 miles. We can start to project out in the future when this work might be estimated to be done. So in this case, maybe your garage technician can see if this vehicle had to come in for accident repair. We can see that it's projected for an oil change, and maybe he could, do that oil change while it's in the shop. So all kinds of use cases there of just having your system automatically create work for you or project when work is needed to be done, just to gain some efficiency.
One of
Any questions?
the things too, just to kind of point out, is you saw how he created that work order. You don't have to have an IT background, you don't have to have a GIS background to create a work order in this program. It's as simple as pointing and clicking and creating the work orders. So it's not gonna take a whole lot of background from our staff for a lot of training to try and teach them a GIS or teach them how to be an IT guy. I don't want them doing that. We need them out on the roads, we need them doing other things. But this would be a simple enough program that they should be able to pick it up fairly easily without a whole lot of computer experience. All of our staff are more used to computers. So, the inspections and those things that we do right now, they'd be able to do the inspection, and instead of passing it into us and us filing it, it'd all be in the system already. So we'd be able to create those inspections, and we'd have that information. We could track all our stuff through the system, all that type of thing.
So can I ask you, Jason, a work order then, it would go to their phone?
Yeah.
They would be required to have an iPhone or something?
They all have smartphones.
They all have smartphones, so then they would show that they've completed it, they'd get it through their smartphone, they'd show that they've completed. To me, the software is as good as the user, if we don't put the data in.
100%. It's
Okay.
garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
If you're not tracking it, you're not gonna report it.
Right, looks like impressive software, but we'd have to have everybody on board be willing to use it.
Right.
Oh, okay. Any questions? Jenny?
So you're gonna have to have all of our operators. I mean, if Bob goes out and blades 12B, he would enter that in at the time he played.
No.
He'd enter it when he comes back.
End of the day, a quick will enter, or he can send it in what the time sheets that they do now, where they put it in, get that information, we'll just track it that way. So it wouldn't necessarily have to be something that Bob and the guys are putting in on the bridges where they know how many, like for Ryan, where he's putting in how many bridge planks he's taking. People will put that into the work order, the 3 by 12 by 24 foot work planks. And when we're planning out the projects ahead of time too, we'll already know how many planks we're gonna be looking at, and it'll help us, we can order the bridge planks and the timbers and the timber caps ahead of time. So we can have those things on hand when we're gonna need them. Right now, the quickest we can get our bridge, the quickest we've had since I started, where we got any materials, was this last order, where we got one semi and it was 2 months to get the materials that we need. So it kind of helps us with that.
Paul?
Is there any tracking of any of this information now in any form?
We have a couple of Excel spreadsheets that we do it, and then we have paper files. There's nothing other than that. So with this aspect, we could actually attach our bridge inspections, our pictures to it. So for our culvert inspections, so when we have a culvert, we go into our inspections, we can take a picture of it, take a picture of the site, attach it to it, and we can watch the progression of the failure. So you can see, is this failing faster or slower and why? And kind of help us out with those things. Right now, our culverts haven't really had a true inspection in over 13 years.
Okay, does anyone have a question for either, is it Jamie or, I'm sorry, Elliot?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, does anybody have a question for them? Otherwise, we'll let them go. Denny, did you? No?
I guess my concern is, would our bridge inspectors from Chicago have access to this program too?
Only if we allow them to, correct? I
Would
mean,
we want them on it?
They would be using the one from the state and Inspectex. So they wouldn't be, I don't know if they'd be using this one, this would be me going through and creating a work order off of their inspections.
So would they be able to transfer that information to the
We might
program?
be able to at some point, yeah. I'm not sure if there's anything in there, they might be able to transfer that information through, I never really.
but only if we want it transferred.
Right.
They don't just have access to this unless we give them access, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, the only people that would get, all the access would go through like Tammy or I. The initial setups to get everybody can take a little bit of time, but after you get everybody, like. Just for instance, a commissioner, if you wanted access to it, you create a commissioner account. To create a new commissioner account is as simple as cloning your account that's already set up with all this, what you can see, what you can't see. Clone that over, change the name, change the email, change your password, and you're set.
mhm.
The initial type takes a little bit longer to make sure everybody's seeing what they need to, but that'd be it.
So there's no additional cost then for more users?
No.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Well, I think with that, then we'll let Jamie and Elliot go. We appreciate your presentation. Very good presentation. Helps to have a visual and see what we're actually looking at. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all for your time.
Thank
Well,
you.
enjoy the rest of your week.
Okay, thank you. I'm disconnected. Give me 1 second. Okay, Ernie.
You know, I look at this and these reports and everything's nice. I mean, it's almost too much. I don't need to know what it costs to do a pothole or whatever, and that's, yeah, it's a nice program and everything else. I wrote down here, I said convenience or necessity. This is a convenience to me, and yes, it'd be nice, but when I look at a necessity, I think I look at a gravel truck. And I think I'd rather, I don't remember the cost, it was 180 some and 20 a year.
$350,000 for the truck.
Yeah, but how much is this program?
$120,000 a year and $84,000 for the initial.
Yeah,
What was that?
so that's 100.
158,000.
150, so you got almost half of a truck. Where's our necessities? We know our trucks are in bad shape and everything, and I'm not against this program, but I just think money wisely spent, and we're already doing most of it, yeah. It's probably a little harder than this program, but when you look at those trucks we got, and they're welding holes and fixing everything else. I'd rather start some, either a lease program or something and spend this money on starting to replace our trucks. That's just me, that's my idea, I like programs and everything else, but to what extent are you gonna use all these reports and everything else? It gets overwhelming. So. That's just what I have to say about it, I guess.
Amy?
So it's impressive, like, I think it's
Yeah.
great, and going forward, I would love to see the county have this, like, at some point, I really would. In my own business, for a new, I had to do a new electronic medical record system for insurance billing for my medical practice. Heavier lift than I ever dreamed it would be, and when I asked about the amount of people it would take to implement, I fully believe you can handle your job, Jason, 100%. But 5 people to 100 people, even 5 is a lot, especially if they're not fully on board. Or if you're, I mean, just the training pieces of it, you do not realize how much it takes away from your day. In my mind, I look at this and say, other departments, jail, auditor, sheriff, Brent. That, in my opinion, would be a great plan. Just highway department, I have a hard time, like, just putting it, but if it could be something that we could work together as a county in the future on, if the jail, gets legs and we go. Because I think it's super impressive, and I like the fact that they can, it's just more forward, thinking and being able to keep those reports and how well. Our current GIS system, what is that?
All they have is an Esri account with some stuff that's.
So the Excel spreadsheet kind of thing.
Yeah, as a person who really uses it.
And the Tyler, when they talked about budgeting and planning, when they showed the a la carte and all that, we've spent so much on Tyler. There's nothing with them that we can utilize. I just wanna be sure we're not double dipping on things that we've invested in so much. I mean, that's my concern is, I know you're in, but I agree with Ernie, we have to prioritize where we're spending taxpayer dollars, and I just think we need this to be a wider county buy-in. If it's a committee, if it's, you know, some department heads that eventually are like, yep, we're gonna take this on, we're the committee of 5 to 10 people. That then is responsible to be sure that we are maximizing use of a $20-some thousand program every year. I just don't think we're there, but I like it.
Good question.
Paul,
Near the implementation plan on this document, it says it would start January 2024 and be completed by October 25. I'm assuming that that's not accurate.
It'd be about 8 months for them to get everything put together on their side.
So this was,
should have said
It
January
should have said
twenty
January
twenty-five.
2025.
oh, okay,
Yeah, it shouldn't say January 2024, it should have been January 2025 to October.
okay.
For them to get their stuff and track some, takes more information that goes into it, wouldn't take them that long. For the aspect of putting it all together, I put together a system like this for state parks and recreation, where it was me. For all 858 buildings, all the task codes, everything else was already set. I have some of that information from that background from it, that we can simply easily enough to just take it and put it in this program. So some of that heavy lifting from my aspect of it is already done, because I've been there, I've done it. And for that, it was all 13 state parks, all of our equipment, everything. We gave them the information, they got it put in, we got it set how it was, and it was an 8-month project. From their aspect, and then I was the trainer after that. It was a trainer program, so you go that way.
So the way I'm reading this, it's 84,000 for the program, then it's about 24,000 a year for contract services.
Maintenance.
Maintenance.
Updates and everything else.
Yeah,
Any questions are part of that, or it's part of, you know, if you're having issues or different things, your customer support is all part of it.
I kind of agree with what Amy said. I think we're really in a data-driven society, and I think this data is good, but it would make a lot of sense to me if this went beyond the highway department. Because I just look at this building and just try to keep track of maintenance on the building, and this is just one building.
And it would be for buildings and grounds, because he is also the head of buildings and grounds, so you didn't, I'm sorry, you didn't realize that, Paul,
And
but, and Hami, so it would incur those three, and then, Ron, can I ask? Do you have any input on this? Do you see that this would be a benefit, or maybe I'm putting you on the spot, maybe that's not fair?
Would we use it? Could we use it? Yes, I think it would be a better way of tracking the vehicle, yes.
Okay. Can you see uses for other departments, either of you? I don't see use in the auditor's department, I guess, but maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. Possibly Brent with the emergency services, that type of thing.
For the FEMA stuff, it definitely would. Because
FEMA.
especially with them being able to track right into their FEMA accounts and where the FEMA sets the rates for different equipment things. And those aspects, that it would definitely speed things up from our aspect of doing those reports and doing our things. Cause like I said, you can put the initial pictures in, you can put your after picture in,
Mhm.
your calculations. So you go up there and I go up to the site, so I take the initial picture, I take the measurements. And I get everything set. When it's all done, you take the picture. When the guys are done, they put in all their cost onto that work order for that site. They take their after pictures, they close it and finish.
Okay,
It's ready for them.
then,
Where would the money come from?
I'd have to put it into a budget for just initial thing, probably from the equipment or some other line of capital outlays or something else on that one. I'd have to get that put through it. All right, now it was set for just a new equipment purchase for the budget right now. So going forward, you'd have to put a line, I'd have to make sure that they bring them along. Or
So that-
or whatever else.
that was the comment that I wrote down. I'm in favor of this software. I think the software looks like it would be very, very helpful, well utilized, and I feel that your employees will definitely be able to utilize it as well. I think they'll be able to be trained on it. I have no doubt there. My concern is, Jason,
we just got done with budget. I didn't see a line item for OpenGov software for 100,000. So if we're just gonna pull 100,000 from equipment, that means we're pulling it from a skid steer, a truck, whatever you were looking at. I guess what I'd like to see, and the other thing I'm concerned about is you are 10 mil short this year in your budget. So you're living on carryover. I don't think this is the year to do it, is my concern. I feel like we should keep it in mind, and for next year, when you do your budget, bring it to us and have a budget item set aside just for this. It concerns me to pull it from something else, you know, so.
I just did a quick search to look to, just because I wanted to know who else has this around. I asked you that last time, Jason, and he commented, so Morton County, just from a reference point, so population 33,300. West Fargo is a city, 40,400. Wash County, 10,600, 63. So it is a little bit, even though I really think it's a great thing for a county, there's a part of me that I worry about the cost that we would spend. That it wouldn't be, I mean, I would want there to be a very detailed plan of implementation training. It will be used this way in this department, this way in this department, so that the value, and we can guarantee we're getting our money's worth out of it.
You also have to take a look at the square miles that we cover, the bridges and the culverts that we have compared to a city like.
I acknowledge
Morton
that,
County's
yeah.
Bridges, when we have 500 bridges, right? An 8-foot culvert is classified as a small bridge. Even though it's a culvert. It's a-
I agree with our bridges. I think this is softer than,
And with the bridges and
Good.
culverts, I talked to the water board on it, they can have access to this too. So with the cost shares, the different things that we have, when they're replacing culverts, they can put their information into it from the water board perspective. As we replace this culvert, this is the size of the culvert is, this is the material it's made from, this is the contractor that installed it. All those costs can be tracked into this too.
so would they be willing to put some money towards it?
They may be able to, they might be interested.
Paul?
In the future.
You had this memo from Dennis Marcus, and then I was just wondering what the context of that was with the.
So the memo I found is that Dennis is actually, and I have spoken about this in the past, but he has was thinking how, when he was the highway superintendent, he would have loved to have a program that could do just this. Where you can track the culverts, you can track your different things and track your materials.
So we've been talking about this for a long time, is the point you're trying to make.
Right, Dennis is thinking about this program in the back when he was here. So it's something that Dennis, he recognizes being something of even value for us, and with this different things that we're doing. It's just taking all that stuff and accumulating it and putting it in the spot where it's in one location. And like for the buildings and grounds, you could set it up where Nikki and the builder staff wouldn't see anything else. All they would see is the buildings and grounds. They wouldn't see culverts, they wouldn't see roads, they wouldn't see anything because they have nothing to take care of.
I agree with what you said too. Budget time is definitely the time where something like this should come forward, so you can put it in the budget as a line item. And it's taken care of without having to dip into something. I like
That's my concern. I'd like to see this come back before us. I think it looks like great software. I think that we do need to move with the times. The old fashioned way of keeping everything on paper, that's gone. So I would like to see this, but I'd just like to have it come in for next year's budget. I mean, unfortunately, we just missed the budget this year, and I hate to take it away from something else we might need. And the fact that we are 10 mil short, that concerns me. So for the year.
Well, and I totally agree. I look at, it's not electronics or a program, but look what we spent on those pumps and stuff. So it's not like we're improving our equipment and everything else. That was a big project. That was budgeted. And I think this one should be too, and along the same line, I said, I don't know, sometimes. The county's got money and everything else. We gotta start looking at our trucks and stuff. You guys don't see it as much as I do, and I look at our trucks. They're in rough shape. And we already learned buying a used one is not a good deal, so I think the next budget, I'm all for this. But I'm also for maybe, I don't know if there's a lease program out there for trucks. Like, well, then we just budget and bite the bullet and say, well, we're gonna spend so many thousand, 300,000 for a new truck, cause we're gonna be there. They're in horrible shape, I'll be honest with you, so.
And you know, I would say too, Jason, 100%, like use this next year as your building year on this program, whether it's your staff or talking with other department heads, because we, as a commission, I can speak, seeing what everyone else wants, we want objective data. This program will give us that. I mean, it's gonna take all of 26, at most of 26, just to input data, right? We're not gonna have a lot, but if once it's in there and we're like, okay, they, you know, someone comes to us, even if it's vehicles for all these other departments and they want one. It's a lot of easier decision if we have something that can literally show us what's going on with this truck, like what our risk is, keeping it, trading it, whatever, so.
And I think if the water board would be willing to maybe chip in some money or other departments if they're gonna utilize it, so it doesn't all have to come from your budget, but, Paul, did you have a question?
I was just gonna say, you know, after Ernie made his comment about the budget, I haven't really had a chance to look at the budget yet, but I would, to me, it would be nice to see the highway department have a line item for truck replacement and put so much in there every year.
Yes.
And so then after 5 years, you have money to buy a truck rather than dump it all in 1 year and.
Yeah.
And that's just one example, but I would like to see those things, those funds built up. So that when the time comes, you
You have the
have
money,
the money.
right, kind of part of this strategic 5-year plan that I would like to see the department heads do.
Yeah.
And it's, I guess maybe we're old school on that, everything else, we usually buy something because we need it. Or something went down or something broke and that's it. Yep,
Right,
and
yeah.
that's his answer, cause look at the last truck, they were scarce, we looked around and when we got it. What was the bill on the transmission? They put some transmission and the wires didn't talk. It was, what, 6 months we were without the truck,
$40,000.
$40,000, so that don't make sense either, and I agree with you, we gotta start looking ahead. And whether we put 50,000 away a year for a truck. Well, in 7 years, well, it won't be, because you know they'll go up, but at least every 5 or 7 years, you gotta plan that, okay, now we buy the truck.
And that's what I'm working towards.
Yeah,
So with that, from what I'm hearing from everyone, it sounds like we would like to table this, is that
Yep.
correct? Bring it to us. Next budget season, bring it back to us. Thank you for all the time and effort you put into it and the presentation. I tell you what, that's what sold me, was that presentation. After seeing it visually, I think it's a great thing, but I think we need to budget for it, so. Okay,
I think we're all in favor of it.
everybody in favor of that?
Yeah, it's a no, it's
Okay.
not a no, it's a not yet.
It's a table, it's table.
Later, it's a later.
So, okay, anything else, Jason?
Nothing from my side unless you have any questions from
Was Ernie?
Are we doing interviews at one?
one. Yeah,
We got 4.
4 interviews today.
You're-
Hopefully with 4 interviews, we can go with 2 positions. we have.
True open.
Okay, good.
We'll see how the interviews go.
Patty.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said, thank you, Jason. I did not give everybody a break. Hammer down when I'm here. Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break.
The
He
camera
wanted the break and he wanted us back. Who's the chairman here?
I have no control. Are we back on?
Yes, we're ready.
We are.
Yes, we're ready to go.
We're happy.
Okay.
Focus up.
Okay, call the meeting back to order. All right, we will go through the additions to the agenda. First of all, we have a soil conservation district update from Danny.
Well, we remember when they came in with their budget, they were gonna be spending their whole 2.5 mils on wages. Well, now they're experiencing a shortfall. They were relying on grants to fill in some of the blank spots, which they did apply for a grant and received it. But they misappropriated some of the funds and had to pay it back. So now they're short and are looking at borrowing money to cover themselves. And just does not seem any feasible way of being able to pay that borrowed money back. They want to use taxpayer assets, land, building and equipment for collateral. And I've got a question with the Attorney General as to whether they can do that. I haven't heard back. They can borrow money. But it's just, they've got two of the board directors that are up in January that are not gonna be reappointed. They're citing mismanagement. Don't want anything to do with this, especially not signing a loan. And there's a lot of other stuff going on, but I don't think we can really get into it until Joel is here to defend himself if he wants to come in. It's made it perfectly clear that the commission doesn't have any control over him. They've also made it clear that their own board doesn't have any control over them. So I don't know what we do.
Who does?
Hmm?
Who does have control?
Well, it's supposed to be their own board. There's 3 elected on that board and 2 appointed. But they have stated during an open meeting that they don't even have to take orders from their own board.
Madam Chair, they meaning the employees.
The 2 employees.
I never heard of such a thing.
Nobody has.
To me, it's very concerning when you are going to borrow money to pay salaries and operational costs. That's a problem,
There's no clear way of paying it back.
other than using mills in the future, they're saying, but if you don't have a mills team, enough mills to
They've already got
cover
that
your
committed to
operational costs,
wages.
no, right? And those mills aren't just supposed to be for wages and operational costs, I mean, we're supposed to be doing things for the public with that, for the taxpayers.
Is that their max mill levy?
Yeah.
Yep, that, what was it, 1/4% or whatever that we voted on back when we went to Bismarck? They get the regular mills and then there's another, what is it, 1/4%?
I don't remember,
It's
the
like
quarter
five-
or a half, they get
half.
2.5 mils, correct?
No, but there's another one that they could use on insurance or whatever back when, like 1/4% or 0.5% or something. That was not supposed to be used for wages or anything else.
Mhm.
So I was just wondering what's happening to that one. Cause I think if you look at it, there's 2 lines in the budget, there used to be 2 lines from the soil conservation, one was the mills, and then there was another. I'd
The
have to get that.
319 grand.
No, it was a thing that was voted on when we went to Bismarck, that they got a decrease that they could do that.
I don't recall that.
They didn't have that in their budget this year, cause I didn't review that. Amy?
So would it be correct then to assume they were between the mills, but they were also counting on grants to cover operating and salary? I mean, in my mind, it's, you don't go above what you have for operating, hoping you get a grant, because
Right.
they didn't. And now you're in a position where you're short, like you said, I mean,
They did get a grant, but like I say, they misappropriated and they had to pay it back.
but you just should never count on a grant
No,
to pay a salary. I mean,
That's,
that should be your above and beyond wish list or strategic plan to say, we get it, this is what we do, not this is what we operate from.
Right.
Whose name is on the deed of this property that they want to mortgage?
I'm not positive on that, but it, like I say, it's taxpayer owned. But yeah, I don't know whose name is actually on the
I mean,
deed.
if it's Walsh County or if it's Soil Conservation District matters, because I would suspect they can do with if it's under the soil conservation district.
Both Christie and I have attended their meetings and pointed out their shortfalls and how they doesn't work, but we can't get anywhere with it. And like I say, I don't know what we can do about it, but I want to make you aware that this is what's going on. And I don't know who, like I said, the two that are getting off in the end of December, want to know part of this.
The two board
The
members,
two board members.
they were both appointed positions.
Oh.
It was, it's Alan Ziden and Jay Gaditis.
Okay,
And they were appointed positions and now they're stepping, well, they've completed their term and they're not, they wish to no longer be appointed. They do not want to be reappointed, so.
I would really like to see their meetings on YouTube. So the public could be aware of what's actually going on.
Did you have
The
something?
reason
Rick?
I brought it up is a past employee. And she was been watching this and sort of concerned, and she brought it up too, and she remembers that, the one I'm talking about, that it can't be used for wages. It was, I'm gonna talk to her and I'll get the exact one, but either 0.15 or 0.2. That was given beyond the regular mill levy that they could use for certain expenses, but not to be used for wages. I
Okay,
don't wanna say it without really being exact, but being we're talking about it.
So Madam Chair, I think our appointments are important coming, is what I'm getting from this.
mhm.
Going forward, our new appointments are important.
But
We have no
We
control
don't
over the
control.
conservation
Oh,
district appointments, so
they
they do,
appoint-
they
they
do
appoint
that,
their own.
their own board appoints. Right, so we really have no control, so I think the point of Denny bringing it up is, we want to be transparent. It is public taxpayer, or excuse me, it's taxpayer money that is provided to the soil conservation district. 2.5 mills are provided to the soil conservation district. As a commission, we have control over that. They get their 2.5 mills as long as they request the full 2.5 mills. But now it's come to our attention that that is being used basically all on salaries and operational
100%.
expenses and then some. So now they want to take a loan to cover it. And that's our concern.
so we don't even approve their appointments to this
No.
board.
no,
But we approve the 2.5 mils, that's really the only thing we
Yeah.
have.
we don't have a choice on the 2.5 mils. That is designated to soil conservation, whether we like it or not, they're getting their 2.5 mils or whatever dollar amount they request.
So if they
That's
request
essential.
less, if they only need a budget of X amount of dollars and that's only equates to 2 mills, then we would just give them 2 mills. But if they bring us a budget that shows that they need the full 2.5 mills, we are required to give them the full 2.5 mills.
Are we required to do that? I just wanna be clear.
As far as what I understand through Century Code, we are required to supply them with the 2.5 mils.
I'm not suggesting we shouldn't.
No, I know what you're saying.
Don't get me
because we
wrong,
looked
but
into
if
the
that's
same
the
thing.
only leverage you have, that's the only leverage you have. And I'm not sure if that's a requirement or if it's just standard operating procedure.
So Paul, because they have an elected board, the commission actually doesn't have any, it's no different than a school, a
Okay.
park board, any of that. So
Okay.
in the past, they were bringing their budgets to the commissioners during budget time to review. This year we found out that because it's an elected board, they should be handled the same as any of the other boards. So, the reason I think they were bringing it here is because it is a countywide levy. And that's why they brought it to the commissioners, but it's no different than how I handle the schools,
Okay,
cities, all of that. They just present me with the dollar amount they want. That they need, and then the max levy worksheet figures that in. And that max levy worksheet has a threshold of 2.5 mils max that they can get.
so, but it falls under the county mill levy.
Countywide,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for the taxing district. So I think that's why they were coming every
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, everyone wants to know what the countywide levy is going to be, and that everyone will be paying that.
And they're part of that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it is taxpayer dollars and there should be transparency.
So Madam Chair, Chrissy, are you saying it won't, so we won't see them in the future then? That's been declared that, I mean, we don't see school boards, we don't see whatever, this is more of just a FYI of what's kind of going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
There have been talk of probably possibly going to a vote again to increase those mills. But people would have to approve that.
Would that be on a county-wide or would that be a statewide?
County, from what,
Cause I would have thought that 2.5 mils was in Century Code, but
I was gonna say, I think that'd have to go to, just like when we went to Bismarck and Aftermore. I
Yeah.
think it'd have to go to
Yeah.
Bismarck, not here.
I think so.
And then we'd probably have to have a vote of the people, but you gotta get the blessing from above.
but right now they can't make payroll.
Well, they've created a problem.
No, that's why they wanna borrow money.
You have to operate within your budget. When you don't operate within your budget, you have a problem.
You can't rely on grants to cover
And you
those.
cannot rely on grants.
Well, I'd kind of like to know who has title to that building, because if it's the county, then they can't mortgage it without us.
I wonder if it isn't the soil conservation.
I bet it is.
Was it known that?
Probably, yeah, but I wonder if it isn't soil conservation district. Cause basically they're board controlled, we never give them approval to buy that building,
Mm-mm.
it was all the board and the soil conservation, so I'd say it's under
I
them.
would think
Yeah, yeah, it should know.
registered deeds would
And it
know.
would,
Yeah, yeah.
Or-
Try to pull it up, but I don't.
Okay, well, I wanna keep moving because we are past our time. Thank you, Jenny, for the update. And then we had an extension update from Amy.
So I think I've let most of you know, but maybe not Paul, we've been working to find a new extension A&R agent after Brad Drummond. Been a year and a half, almost 2 years, has been done, and I'm happy to announce that Bailey Schroeder.
Schrader,
Has been hired, she's actually local or from the area, her first day will be December 9th. So is that next Monday?
Yeah.
I think she's gonna be a really good fit, it's been a long haul to find someone, but I think we're all very excited to have someone on board, she's young but eager and really interviewed well, so I'm excited for their office, for Katie, for them to have more support and being able to move forward with that. So that, and then I just quickly wanted to plug that we have our employee appreciation party on Friday, so hoping everyone can come and don't.
So I make comment about Bailey. I know she's a lifelong Walsh County resident, 4-H kid
Yep,
in the past, so
when I know her personally, I think she'll do an excellent
I
job.
think so too. I think she has a big learning curve, but I
Yeah.
think, you know
I
what,
think-
that's
yeah.
okay. She'll
Pick it
be-
up
I
fast.
think they
She'll
do,
be good.
don't they pronounce it Schrader, cause I know her grandma and grandfather really didn't have her thing, they pronounce it Schrader.
Christie would know.
I thought it was Schrader, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think it's Schrader,
I might be
We'll
wrong.
ask her.
yeah, I guess I will when I see her, but even the locals up there call them Schrader. so-
Spell it right in the paper, people can.
Oh, that's hard to do that word.
People still get my last name goofed up too, so. Okay, next item on the agenda. Thank you, Amy, for that.
Yes.
Christie, you have an update on year-end auditor office at home.
Yes, so with us being short staffed, I was wondering, Jessica Alonji from Stutzman County has offered to come again. She came in January for on-site training, helping us with, we'll be doing those mobile home reversals and payments for the primary residency credit, getting the treasurer's office squared away to roll for 2024 or 2025. Stuff like that. She's offered to come December 19th and 20th. I looked back, in January and we paid her $60 an hour plus mileage and, motel. Wondering if that is something you guys would be willing to allow me to do again. She spent countless hours, unpaid with me. So
And Paul, just so you know, Jessica is, I'm not sure what her title is, but.
an auditor.
Auditor,
Yeah, the
from-
auditor,
she is the
Stutzman.
auditor.
She is the auditor,
Okay,
yeah.
I thought it was more than that,
Yeah,
but she's been kind of, Christie's mentor. And very good to help us.
and she was the treasurer first, so she really, I mean, she's,
She has
Knows
background in both.
Knows government.
yeah, she knows government, yeah. I always tease her that I'm gonna be her poster child if she ever goes on her own. So, but, anyway, yeah, I was surprised she brought it up to me because there's some bigger projects that are gonna need to be done. I have all the payroll that I've gotta create and do, she doesn't do any of that stuff. But the next 2 months are gonna be a big heavy load again for me, and guys, I'm getting tired, I tell you, so. I'm hoping that you guys will let her come and take some of that pressure off of me. And then also, I thought of last night, we did a year-end rollover, we paid Tyler Tech to, help me like one-on-one. I didn't look this morning how much that was, but I would be interested in looking at getting help, just to make sure the difference between 23 and 24 has been unbelievable. We've made so much headway, I just would hate to make them, yeah, because I didn't set it up. Tanya sat in on those meetings last year with us, and 90% of the time we spent with that, Kenny, was cleaning up to make it work. Now that it's working, like I couldn't take notes because it was a lot of cleanup, so now this time it would be nice to have somebody. Or I also thought, Stutzman County, Shannon is payroll down there. Maybe she would be interested or have time to help me with some of that too, and I go to her or something like that, so I just started thinking about that too. I'm gonna have to get all that rolled over, and that system is extremely finicky with payroll, and if it's not set up right, we deal with that, so,
So my question would be, I'm assuming you have money in your budget to be able to cover these expenses.
well, yes, we've had more expenses in the auditor's office, because of this. We're not paying Joni hasn't been here, Chris hasn't been here, so, but I'm down one.
And you're
staff
down
member.
on salary.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly, so I feel between the treasurer's office and the auditor's office, for sure, I would be able to, and I'm not saying we need the full 2 days. I hope you guys know me enough that we would only take what we needed. But I feel that in order for me to sleep at night, knowing that 2025 is gonna be less pressure on, me, it would be well worth it, so.
So-
Who'd you call on?
Amy. I saw you first, I had all the corner of my eye.
So, I mean, I think, you know, I personally trust you in that when you are looking for people, they are people that are efficient, that you're using people that are gonna help you, that they're worthwhile, you know. Maybe even more worth what they need in terms of coming up here, and that we just have to continue to support you, because we've come a long way. But to be able to still go there, and, you know, we've had conversations even about the payroll piece, you know, it's sometimes some of those things that we might as a county. Just to keep things moving, have to look at that budget time of outsourcing and finding ways to keep. Things instead of just barely getting them done, and maybe not as efficiently or taxing our staff that we wanna maintain, especially the excellent ones that we're thinking about all those things, so I would make a motion that we. Would hire the additional staff.
Both of them?
And the Tyler training as well.
If I can put it in the same motion, I would.
Yeah, okay, how about, yes, cause I don't know how much that's gonna cost, I don't feel extremely comfortable letting you guys make a motion on that. Even just let me explore that, and with the opportunity, if it is under, let's set a dollar amount, if it's under X amount of dollars, I can go ahead in between commission meetings to get that scheduled. Cause I do have, some free sessions with that Kenny scheduled. So we'll see what he says. Maybe he'll say, I don't even need anything. It all looks good, and show me how to do it, you know? So I don't know.
No, stay under 1,000, or do you think
Yeah, I
more?
can't remember if it was like,
I felt like it was
900,
300
yeah.
a session, or?
was it 300 and then 900 for the two? Or I don't remember. I should have looked this morning, but I didn't. But, yeah, even 1,000 before, and then I will come back next meeting if it's more or less, but nothing would be scheduled before the next meeting.
So make my motion to hire Jessica from Stutzman County for the 2 days in December. And then explore the Tyler option and hire if it's under 1,000, but report that next meeting. That's
Do you have a second?
I'll second. We'll get your.
Go ahead, Tyler. Okay.
Danny, any further discussion? Ernie, you had some?
No, that was answered.
Okay, all right. Danny,
How many hours are you putting in a week now?
You know, I think, in a month, it's about 40 hours, give or take.
Average.
Yeah, but I'm not getting it, you know, I'm starting to leave because I'm tired, I need to leave. Things aren't getting done like they should, I mean, things are getting done, but, you know, it definitely, when I'm here, it's very intense. I try to take the weekends off, and so then my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays are long 12, 13-hour days. Knowing that I'm not working on the weekends, so, there's just a lot, it's new staff, we're making a lot of headway, but getting,
well, I've seen a lot of progress.
yes, absolutely.
Paul?
I'm just curious, is your office full staffed now?
No,
Okay.
no, and I'm not sure what we're gonna do, Christy and myself and Tanya are gonna visit today about that. We're not quite sure what the office needs, so I didn't wanna rush into it. I wanna make sure that we're trying to build a team to, you know, lessen the load of everybody. And what that is, I don't know, because we just got done with all of the cleanup. We're just barely, the dust is barely settled, so the timing isn't perfect, but, I do feel that it's time we need to start at least talking about it. And get a game plan.
We're looking at a possible restructure in your office, because we combined the auditor treasurer's office and she's overseeing both offices now.
Okay.
We have lots to discuss.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. We need to take the vote, because since we've done so much discussion. Okay, any further discussion? We good? Okay, I'll start with Ernie.
Yes,
Amy?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Danny?
Yes,
Myself, yes, motion passed. Okay, last item we have on the agenda is for the water board reappointment.
I talked to them and they figured, to answer your question, they said maybe put an ad in the paper. For looking for appointment to the water board for a 3-year term, and then we'll do it in January. So Christie, if you wanna talk to them or what, it's up, I guess county, we're supposed to put the ad if we wanna.
Oh.
Yep. Cause we get the final say and everything else, so if you know, if they come through and let's say there's 5 people, then we, I suppose with the water board, cause I'm gonna go down there and see if there's any tendencies or something or trouble with the water board to make sure we don't get somebody that vendetta or anything else, but when then you go through the process and then we'll pick one and then come back to you. So, but basically put an ad in the paper that Walsh County Water District is looking for appointment of 3-year water board term. Cause it ain't a reappointment. Larry's gonna run anyhow, but at least you're opening it up.
So our current water board member is intending to run again, but we're just
Yep.
putting it out there in case there's
Anybody else interested?
Okay,
that's a good move.
yeah,
So are we gonna do this for all of our boards then?
Well-
Like housing, all of that, or is this?
Housing, the board is usually the commissioner portfolio. They're on their own little world over there, guess we've never did it, they pick their own and. You know, it's not an elected position they appoint, so I wouldn't have an answer in that.
Which
Ever
is,
since I've been there,
which is the same as this, right? This isn't an elected,
Alright.
this is an appointed. So every board that we, you know, we're getting reappointment letters from.
Yeah.
Well, what-
different places.
you know,
Are we
what
gonna
about the-
start putting ads in the paper for them?
you know, I don't have an answer, what about the weed board?
I think we should be getting some direction from Kelly on how this
Yeah.
should be handled appropriately.
Yeah.
Because what if there are other boards that people would like to maybe serve on, but if they don't know there's an opening, they never maybe get their name in the hat, so maybe we should just check with Kelly on how it should be handled.
You just had, 2 got, well, they got elected, but how about the appointment for the soil conservation then? There's 2 appointed there.
Well, yeah, but they've got
They're their
3
own.
elected people that do that appointing, so we don't really have a.
But is that any difference than the library board or the JDA board or whatever? That's what, they're all, you know,
There's nobody in the library board that's elected.
no. But see, neither is the JDA, there's nobody elected there.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
but
That's what I'm
why it
saying.
comes back to the commission.
And water board isn't really elected. No, we're appointing them.
That's right, but when they have their own elected.
Exactly,
officials,
I get the
They
election.
do the appointing. But
Paul,
I have also had people say, well, I would like to have known when that appointment was got.
Exactly, so I think maybe we need
Yeah.
to look at. If this should be handled
Yeah.
differently, instead of just doing things the way they've
Mhm.
always been done, let's make sure they're being
Well,
done
and that's,
correctly.
that's why they sort of said then put it in the paper and advertise.
Paul,
I definitely think asking the state's attorney would be a good idea, but one thing, my thought is, we need to be consistent with all of these boards. But maybe something as simple as a posting it on the county website when these positions become available.
correct.
3 months in advance, and there's no cost to that, everybody has access to it, everybody knows where to go.
Mhm.
And then you do it for all the boards and then you've advertised, I don't know, it's just.
I agree.
We're so wide here and so many boards that you just can't stay on top of them. You're not.
Yeah.
But Madam Chair, I do think it's a good way to identify new blood, freshen, you just don't know. I mean, like you said, if people are willing, you just don't wanna miss that opportunity either, so.
Right. Right. Okay, good discussion, you'll check with
Yep,
Kelly then,
and then I'll update you guys at the next meeting.
okay.
That works.
You're gonna take care of that ad then?
I'll wait to do anything until we talk to Kelly,
Oh,
to make sure, I don't wanna
okay.
put an ad in
Keep
and
me
then
in touch
find out
then, so I can look.
the library board and all that stuff, we're gonna have to pay.
Is our Madam Chair, is our website, county website, like who would do, or are we ready to?
It's not quite ready yet,
Okay, okay.
but it's close, it's very, very close. Okay, any other unfinished business that we need to discuss? Okay, if there's no further business, meeting is adjourned.